It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as a Money in the Bank contract has been cashed in, there is a brand new member of the Bullet Club, and we have an update regarding the future of Braun Strowman. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... Jay White shocked the wrestling world this past weekend after he debuted at Impact Slammiversary to confront belt collector Kenny Omega. The Bullet Club leader and New Japan star coming face to face with AEW's top heel and champion inside an Impact Wrestling ring is the perfect summary of the wrestling landscape today, with companies working together left, right and center to help the overall business grow. After the face-off, Omega was reminded on Twitter that last time himself and White wrestled each other over 3 years ago, it was Switchblade who came away with the victory, dethroning the then IWGP United States Champion, which ended Omega's 210-day reign. In a response to the fans' tweet, Kenny said, "Not denying the loss or anything, but we don't need to revisit this. It was a one-time thing, that's it." Clearly, Kenny wants to move on from the match, and rather than being overly confrontational about the loss, Kenny looks like he's trying to rebuild the bridge between White and himself, as shown by his offering of a 2 Sweet during the Slammiversary face-off, an offer which Jay White seemingly rejected. We've got some more Kenny Omega news coming up in this video, but let's jump across to Japan for our next story. New Japan Pro-Wrestling have announced that former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Kota Ibushi was pulled from last night's Summer Struggle event due to illness. This is the third event Ibushi has been pulled from this month, with the previous 2 times being due to side effects from his recent vaccination. In a statement released by the promotion, they revealed Ibushi has taken a PCR test and tested negative for the virus. On the Summer Struggle event, Ibushi was scheduled to team with Master Wato, Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima to battle against Shingo Takagi, Tetsuya Naito, Bushi and Sanada, but was replaced by Yuji Nagata in the match. Kota Ibushi is scheduled to take on Shingo Takagi this Sunday on July 25th for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Grand Slam live from the Tokyo Dome, and right now there is no word on him being pulled from this show. Now back to the States as we take a look at a match from last night's Monday Night Raw, which saw the current NXT champion Karrion Kross lose in shockingly short fashion. Kross would be pinned by Jeff Hardy in under 2 minutes, which truly highlights the disconnect between NXT and main roster products. Kross is in the midst of a main event storyline on NXT, with them building to Samoa Joe's triumphant return to the ring for the NXT Championship. This means that Kross should be booked strong on any and all WWE shows, but clearly WWE higher-ups are paying no attention to the black and gold brand. It should also be noted that Karrion Kross's real-life girlfriend and on-screen manager Scarlett wasn't with him during his Monday Night Raw debut. However, she did take to Twitter to suggest Kross will be back on Raw, this time joined by his manager after she tweeted, "This is only the beginning." The disconnect between NXT and the main roster was shown elsewhere on the show when multi-time champion Charlotte Flair listed all of her accomplishments in WWE so far, failing to mention her 2 NXT championship reigns. Not only this, but when Finn Balor returned from NXT to SmackDown last week, there was no mention of where he's been for the last 2 years. If WWE want fans to perceive NXT as, quote, the third brand, then they need to do better than this. To casual fans, NXT is simply the lesser WWE show with no continuity between NXT and Raw or SmackDown. NXT's move to Tuesday seemed like the perfect opportunity for Raw to be the lead-in for the show, hyping it up in order to transfer viewers to the next night, but clearly Vince McMahon has other ideas. This past weekend, we saw Nikki A.S.H. and Big E walk away with their respective Money in the Bank briefcases, and WWE didn't wait around to pull the trigger on the first cash-in. Last night's Monday Night Raw was headlined by a Raw Women's Championship match, with Rhea Ripley being handed a rematch against Charlotte Flair for no particular reason. The contest ended via disqualification after Flair struck Ripley with the title belt, meaning Ripley won the match but Charlotte retained. After the bell, the 2 participants brawled at ringside, which is when the superhero's music hit. The former Nikki Cross then handed the briefcase to the referee, which led to her successfully walking away as the Raw Women's Champion. This marks Nikki's first singles title reign in WWE and follows a recent gimmick switch to her new nearly a superhero persona. This win ended Charlotte Flair's latest title reign, which barely lasted a day, and a reign which seemed to have only happened to avoid a cash-in on Rhea Ripley, whilst notching another title reign on Flair's record as she looks to catch her father's 16-time World Championship record. And whilst the superhero gimmick isn't for me, fair play to Nikki Cross for taking the initiative, creating a gimmick for herself, and not only getting it approved, but getting success so early on in her run as this new character. And let's go to our final story from last night's episode of Raw, as Goldberg made his much speculated return to the red brand to confront WWE Champion Bobby Lashley. On the show, Bobby Lashley issued an open challenge, which was accepted by Keith Lee, which was a return in itself, with Lee making his first appearance on WWE television since the beginning of the year. Lee's return to television was met with a loss after Lashley pinned him in just under 6 minutes. After the match, Lashley was then confronted by Goldberg, who marched to the ring to go face to face with the WWE Champion, seemingly once again being handed a title shot without doing anything to earn it. This is reminiscent of Big Billy's last match in the company, where his short feud with the then WWE Champion Drew McIntyre started simply by confronting him in the ring. Luckily for Drew, WWE chose to have him defeat Goldberg instead of squashing another full-time champion, and let's hope they do the same with Lashley. As great as Prime WCW Goldberg was, I think it's time to walk away. In a recent video posted to social media, AAA Mega Champion Kenny Omega and his right-hand man Don Callis confronted his next challenger Andrade and AAA booker Konnan. During the face-off, a set of demands were revealed from Omega ahead of their title match in August. Omega demanded that Tarantes would be the referee for the match, who is a famous Rudo or heel referee in AAA. Konnan went on to say that Omega's demands were getting too much, which so far include that the match be fought with air conditioning set to a specific temperature, as well as car service being provided for the champ. The two AEW stars, Andrade and Omega, are set to clash at AAA's biggest event of the year, TripleMania, with the event going down on August 14th later this year. The Idol looks to end Omega's reign, which has lasted nearly 2 years, a reign which began after he defeated another fellow AEW talent, Rey Fenix, in October of 2019. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. Next, we should issue a small spoiler alert, as we have news on who the next member of the Bullet Club will be. It's kind of been hinted at by Impact Wrestling themselves on social media, but we do have a little bit more information regarding what happened at the Impact tapings. Yesterday, Impact posted a video on Twitter which showed one-time X Division champion Chris Bay finding a Bullet Club t-shirt in his locker room. This was obviously a tease that he was being recruited by the newly debuted Jay White. This past Monday, Impact Wrestling held their latest TV tapings from Nashville, Tennessee, and there's now leaks from the show which reveal what happened next. During the taping, Bay did in fact join Bullet Club after aligning with White, as the two men threw up a 2-suite on the stage whilst Bay was wearing a Bullet Club t-shirt around his waist. He now joins the likes of Jay White, Kenta, Gorillas of Destiny, and Taiji Ishimori in the modern-day incarnation of the group. And finally, we have an update regarding the status of recently released WWE superstar Braun Strowman, who was let go on June 2nd in a round of releases that included Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. As we saw with Samoa Joe, a release from WWE doesn't always mean it's the end of the road with the promotion, with Joe swiftly being re-signed to the NXT brand. It appears something similar may have happened with Braun, as new merchandise has appeared on WWE's shop, which suggests that he has signed a new deal. Strowman was set to become a free agent on August 31st, with there said to have been interest from both MLW and AEW in signing the powerhouse. It seems any hopes of this happening have now ended, although this could simply be an error on behalf of the admin of the site. As well as an error, it could be a case of WWE having some leftover stock which which they are looking to shift. There is currently no word on an official deal between the two parties, but a return does look the most likely option, and perhaps the Monster Among Men could be one of the many names tipped to return to WWE, alongside the recent Goldberg and John Cena returns, with Brock Lesnar and Becky Lynch both being expected to show up in the very near future. After the many releases, there were some rumours that WWE simply wanted to cut them from their contract in order to renegotiate with the talent on less money, so it seems that could have been the case in this situation, but of course nothing is confirmed as of yet. But we will keep you updated should there be any news breaking regarding the Braun Strowman situation. And speaking of free agents, why not check out my list of the 10 biggest free agents in wrestling today?